The espresso machine hissed at 6:30 a.m., filling my small apartment with a nutty aroma. Outside, my town, a quiet speck 50 minutes from Boston, with Concord's charm and Lexington's calm, woke slowly, its maple-lined streets damp from spring mist. I tuned the radio to WBZ for the weather, sunny, 58 degrees Fahrenheit, and sipped my coffee, savoring the routine that anchored my days. A block away, my office at Pacific Genomics waited, where I co-founded a biotech startup revolutionizing healthcare diagnostics with AI-driven gene sequencing. To most, my job was a mystery, something with data, they'd say, picturing me typing endlessly. To my family, it was worse, a footnote, barely worth mentioning. I'm Nicole Warren, 32, the weird younger sister to Claire, 35, the golden child. Growing up in our modest Worcester home, Claire was the sun, beautiful, graceful, her laughter a melody at Thanksgiving dinners in our cramped dining room. I was the shadow, plain in jeans and no makeup, glued to my laptop or buried in science books. Family photos captured it, Claire beaming in silk dresses, relatives fawning, me fading into the background in a hoodie. "Claire, that dress is stunning," they'd gush at Christmas, passing the cranberry sauce. "For me? Nicole's, doing biotech, right?" A vague nod, then back to Claire's latest boyfriend, always a doctor or lawyer, her charm eclipsing my existence. I thought hard work would earn their pride. At 26, I co-founded Pacific Genomics with college friends Emma Chen, Priya Patel, and Sam Ortiz, turning a dorm room idea into a $10 million venture. I stayed up until 3 a.m. fixing crises, like a $2 million public health project teetering on collapse when a sequencing algorithm failed. My parents, Margaret and Henry, never asked about it. Claire's job switches, from PR to event planning, or breakups with promising men were their focus. "Nicole can handle it," they'd say, as if my strength excused their neglect. I sent $600 monthly for their bills, electric, water, internet, cable, plus $2,000 when their fridge broke or Dad's Ford needed tires. "Claire's struggling," Mom would say. I paid, silently, hoping one day they'd see me. 2 years ago, the silence began. No calls, no texts, no birthday cards, just a void where family should have been. I'd smile faintly when asked about them at the local cafe. "We haven't spoken in a while." "It's nothing." But it wasn't nothing. It was a wound, reopened every holiday I spent alone, sipping peppermint tea on my balcony, watching neighbors' lights twinkle. I'd believed family was a sanctuary, a place to return no matter what. That belief shattered on my mother's birthday, late March, when I planned to fly home to Worcester to help prep, as always. I'd just closed a $5 million funding round with a New York firm, a rare triumph after months of 16-hour days. I called Dad, eager to share. "I'm coming early for Mom's birthday. Need anything?" His pause was odd, his voice flat. "Nicole, don't come this year." I froze, thinking he worried about my schedule. "It's fine, Dad. I've cleared my days." His tone hardened. "Claire's bringing her boyfriend, a CFO. Your job's hard to explain. You'd invite comparisons, make it awkward. Stay away." The words hit like ice. "Are you saying I embarrass the family?" I asked, voice tight. He doubled down. "If you come, don't call me your father." The line went dead. My apartment fell silent, the espresso cup cold in my hand. I sat by the window, spring sunlight mocking the chill inside me. For the first time I saw it clearly, I wasn't their daughter, just a utility, useful until inconvenient. My fingers trembled, not with anger, but with the weight of a truth I'd avoided. I wasn't family. I was expendable. That night, I opened my banking app. For 2 years, I'd sent $15,720 to cover their bills, every payment a silent plea for acceptance. I scrolled the transaction history, each line a reminder: $192.48 for electricity, $136.72 for water, $248.50 for internet and cable. No thank yous, just Mom's occasional, Claire's struggling. I hovered over the auto payments, electric, water, internet. Click. Cancelled. Notifications popped up, auto payment cancelled successfully. No alarms, just silence, like my place in their world. I closed the laptop, my heart heavy but resolute. They'd excluded me from Mom's birthday to impress Claire's boyfriend. Tomorrow, they'd learn what happens when the footnote stops writing their story. The morning after my father's call, a thick fog blanketed my town, turning the maple-lined streets into a ghostly haze. My espresso machine gurgled at 6:30 a.m., but the brew tasted bitter, as if it carried the weight of Dad's words, "If you come, don't call me your father." I tuned the radio to WBZ, cloudy, 55 degrees Fahrenheit, rain by noon, but the forecast felt irrelevant. I walked to Pacific Genomics, my sneakers scuffing the wet sidewalk past the town's cafe, its wooden sign reading "Home is a choice" mocking the fracture in my chest. My office, a glass-walled space overlooking the town square, was my refuge, but today, my mind replayed that call, each syllable a blade. I'm Nicole Warren, 32, co-founder of Pacific Genomics, a biotech startup revolutionizing healthcare with AI-driven gene sequencing. Growing up in Worcester, I was the shadow to my sister Claire, 35, the family's star. Claire's grace filled our home, her prom photos lined the mantel, her laughter lit up Thanksgiving. I was the serious one, coding in the basement at 16 while she hosted parties upstairs. "Nicole's too intense," Dad would say, as if my focus were a defect. Mom nodded, praising Claire's poise. I internalized it, believing hard work would earn their pride. At MIT, I built Pacific's core algorithm, cutting diagnostic costs by 30%. Emma Chan, my co-founder, called it genius. My parents? They asked why I didn't choose a normal job like Claire's PR role. For 2 years, I'd sent $600 monthly to cover their bills, electric, water, internet, cable, plus $2,000 for emergencies, like their fridge or Dad's Ford. "Claire's struggling," Mom would say, her voice soft, as if my stability excused their demands. I paid, silently, hoping for a nod of approval. 6 months ago, I overheard Mom on a call. "Nicole's fine, she's independent. Claire needs us." It stung, but I kept paying, even when a $2,500 car repair drained my savings for a new sequencing lab. Last fall, Claire's surgeon boyfriend dumped her, and Mom called at 1 a.m., "The roof's leaking. Can you help?" I sent $3,000, no acknowledgement. My role was clear, the fixer, not the loved. Dad's rejection was the breaking point. He'd banned me from Mom's birthday to avoid awkward comparisons with Claire's new boyfriend, a CFO named Liam. "Your job's hard to explain," he'd said, as if my life's work embarrassed them. I sat at my desk, the office quiet before the team arrived, and opened my banking app. The transaction history glared, $15,720 over 2 years, $192.48 for electricity, $136.72 for water, $248.50 for internet and cable. Each payment was a plea for acceptance, unanswered. I hovered over the auto payments. Electric, cancelled. Water, cancelled. Internet, cancelled. Notifications popped up, auto payment cancelled successfully. No alarms, just silence, like my place in their world. I leaned back, my heart heavy but resolute. Mom's birthday was tomorrow, and I wouldn't call, visit, or send a card. Not out of spite, but because I couldn't pretend anymore. For years, I'd carried their burdens, thinking duty was love. Now, I saw it was a transaction, and I was done paying. I emailed Priya Patel, our operations lead, confirm cloud backups for the launch. She replied, "Done. You okay? You seemed off yesterday." I typed, "Just family stuff," and hit send. Priya, Emma, and Sam Ortiz, my co-founders, were my anchor, not the family who'd erased me. A work email pinged, New Jersey staff transfer to Boston. Awaiting approval. I skimmed the list, pausing at Liam Prescott, head of finance. Mom had mentioned Claire's boyfriend, Liam, a CFO. His profile, 34, Wharton MBA, polished resume, clicked. I flashed to a conference 6 months ago, his firm handshake, co-founder Warren, your tech's game-changing. I hadn't known he was Claire's, her boyfriends were a blur of impressive men. My lips twitched, a wry smile. The universe had a dark sense of humor. I marked approve, knowing he'd report to me soon. Tomorrow, their perfect party would unravel, no power, no water, no internet to impress Liam's guests, and I'd let it happen, silently. I walked to the office balcony, the fog lifting slightly. The town square was empty, kids' bikes abandoned by the fountain. I thought of Claire, prepping Mom's birthday in Worcester, oblivious to the chaos coming. She'd always been their pride, her charm a shield I couldn't match. But I'd built Pacific Genomics from a dorm room dream, securing $5 million in funding last month. My team believed in me, my family didn't. I sipped my cooling coffee, picturing Dad's voice, cold and final. He thought he could dismiss me, but he'd handed me clarity. I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was Nicole, and that was enough. Back at my desk, I reviewed Priya's launch plan for our diagnostic tool, set to cut pancreatic cancer screening costs by 40%. Emma had left a sticky note, "You're killing it, Nick." I smiled, tucking it into my planner. My phone buzzed. "Claire, Mom's excited for tomorrow." "You coming?" I stared, her casual tone a knife. She didn't know Dad's words, or didn't care. I set the phone down, unanswered. Tomorrow, I'd work, not mourn. Their party, their lie, would collapse, and I'd build my future, one truth at a time. The morning of Mom's birthday, a heavy fog cloaked my town, blurring the church steeple across the street. I poured a strong black coffee at 6:45 a.m., skipping WBZ's weather report, and sat by my apartment's window, the air thick with an eerie calm. My phone buzzed at 9 a.m. "Mom, sweetheart, power's out. Can you check for us? It's an important day." Then Dad, "No water, no internet. Call the providers now." "Claire, Mom's freaking out, internet's down. Today's special, you're so selfish." I set the phone face down on the table, their demands a familiar ache. Last night, after Dad's "Don't call me your father," I'd cancelled every auto payment, $192.48 for electricity, $136.72 for water, $248.50 for internet and cable. I didn't reply. Let their perfect party crumble under the weight of their own choices. I walked to Pacific Genomics, the mist clinging to my navy coat as I passed the cafe, its warm lights a faint glow. The office was alive with launch prep, Emma calibrating our gene sequencing algorithm, Priya stress testing our cloud platform, Sam finalizing client demos for a diagnostic tool that would slash pancreatic cancer screening costs by 40%. This $3 million project, my brainchild, had kept me up nights, debugging code until dawn. I settled into my glass-walled office, the town square quiet below, and checked emails. Liam Prescott's transfer from New Jersey was confirmed, he'd start tomorrow, unaware I was his boss. I pictured Claire in Worcester, arranging Mom's birthday dinner, flaunting her CFO boyfriend to relatives who'd nod at her charm. They'd learn soon who held the real power, and I wouldn't need to say a word. By 11 a.m., texts flooded in. "Mom, guests arriving, no power. Please help." "Dad, can't cook, no electricity. Where are you?" "Claire, Mom's about to cry, no Wi-Fi." "You're unbelievable." I sipped peppermint tea on the office balcony, the fog lifting to reveal a gray sky. Their chaos wasn't my fault. They'd banned me from the party to avoid awkward comparisons with Liam, a man they deemed more explainable than me. I'd spent $15,720 keeping their home running, $6,000 yearly, plus $2,500 for their car, $3,000 for their roof, without a single thank you. Now, they'd host a party without their invisible fixer, and I felt no guilt, only clarity. At 3 p.m., another text from Claire, "Seriously, Nicole, fix this. Liam's almost here." I ignored it, reviewing Priya's analytics report instead. Emma popped her head in. Launch is on track. You good? I nodded, managing a smile. Just family nonsense. She squeezed my shoulder. You're our rock. Her faith, and the teens, was a lifeline my family never offered. I thought of Worcester, the house dark, Mom flustered, Dad barking orders, Claire scrambling. They'd built a life where I was a utility, not a daughter. Today, they'd face the void of my absence. At 5 p.m., Aunt Sharon video called, her Worcester kitchen lit only by her phone's flashlight. Her face was tired, eyes red from the chaos. Nicole, the house is a mess. No power, no water, everyone's panicking. What happened? Claire's voice cut through. She's probably sulking, ruining Mom's day. Mom, someone call the power company. Then Liam's voice, sharp, Nicole Warren? She runs Pacific Genomics? Sharon froze, her phone shifting to show the room, Claire with a half-decorated cake, Dad gripping a chair, relatives murmuring. I leaned into the screen, nodding calmly. Liam stepped into view, stunned. She's my boss. She approved my transfer to Boston. Silence swallowed the room. Claire's jaw dropped, Mom gasped, Dad muttered something incoherent. Relatives, there for free cake and gossip, stared wide-eyed. I exhaled, my voice steady. Hope your introduction goes well, I said, a faint smile tugging my lips, and ended the call. My phone stayed silent, no follow-up texts, no apologies. I leaned back in my chair, not triumphant, but clear. They'd built a lie, Claire's perfection, my irrelevance, and it had collapsed in their own kitchen, exposed by the man they'd praised to dismiss me. I emailed Emma, launch timeline confirmed. She replied, knew you'd nail it. My work, my truth, was my anchor. I walked home, the fog gone, revealing a gray dusk. The cafe's lights glowed, its home as a choice sign catching my eye. I'd chosen this life, my startup, my morning espresso, my team, over a family that saw me as a utility. Claire's party, meant to dazzle Liam, was now a dark, flustered mess, with candles instead of lights, no water for dishes, no Wi-Fi for guests. They'd learn what happens when you erase the one who held it all together. On my balcony, I sipped tea, the tree a soft shadow. Tomorrow, I'd meet Liam, their perfect CFO, as his boss. The universe had delivered its punchline, and I didn't need to speak it. My silence was enough. Liam Prescott stepped into my office at 9 a.m. the next day, his navy suit crisp but his face etched with tension. He clutched a Q4 financial report, his knock hesitant on the glass door. Nicole, he said, eyes widening as recognition hit, the memory of yesterday's chaotic party flashing between us. I nodded, gesturing to a chair, my voice calm and professional. Welcome to Pacific Genomics, Liam. I'm eager to see your work on our budget projections for the diagnostics launch. His face flushed, then paled, and he stammered, I didn't know, about you and Claire, or that you're, he trailed off, the words my boss unspoken but heavy. I slid a contract across the desk, my expression neutral. This isn't personal, Liam. Let's keep it focused on the work. He nodded, taking the folder, and left quietly, his polished shoes soft on the hardwood floor. My family hadn't known I co-founded Pacific, assuming I was some low-level coder pushing papers. Now, Liam knew the truth, and its weight was seismic. At noon, my phone buzzed with a barrage of texts. Claire, you knew all along, didn't you? Mom's a mess, you ruined her party. Mom, Nicole, we're family. Fix the bills, please. Dad, this was low, even for you. Call the providers. I set the phone face down on my desk, their demands hollow echoes of a lifetime of dismissal. For 2 years, I'd paid $15,720 to keep their Worcester home running, $192.48 for electricity, $136.72 for water, $248.50 for internet and cable, without a single thank you. They'd repaid me with, don't come, you'll embarrass us, prioritizing Claire's boyfriend over their daughter. I opened my laptop, emailing Priya, prep Liam's onboarding, full finance access by end of week. She replied, heard about the birthday drama from Emma. You okay, boss? I typed back, better than ever, a faint smile breaking through the ache. That evening, I sat on my apartment's balcony, peppermint tea steaming in the chilly dusk, the town's tree lean a dark silhouette against a fading sky. Aunt Sharon called, her voice soft but urgent over the line. Nicole, your parents are reeling. Liam told everyone you're his boss during the party, no power, no water, just candles and shouting. Claire's furious, says you planned it to humiliate her. I sipped my tea, the warmth steadying me. I didn't plan anything, Sharon. I just stopped paying for their lies. She sighed, a mix of pride and sadness. They underestimated you, always have. I'm proud of you, kid. Her words, rare in my family, landed like a quiet gift. I didn't need to expose them, Liam had, unintentionally, in their own kitchen, his stunned revelation shattering their carefully curated facade. My silence had spoken louder than any argument I could have made. I reflected on the conference where I'd met Liam 6 months ago, at a biotech summit in Cambridge. He'd shaken my hand, saying, Co-founder Warren, your sequencing tech is game-changing. I hadn't connected him to Claire. Her boyfriends were a revolving door of impressive men, each one mom and dad's new obsession. Now, he was my head of finance, reporting to the sister his girlfriend dismissed as hard to explain. The irony was sharp, almost poetic. I opened my banking app, checking the cancelled auto payments. The $15,720 I'd spent was a ghost now, like my place in their world. I didn't feel vindicated, just free to build a life where I wasn't a footnote in Claire's story. Emma texted, drinks at the cafe? Team wants to celebrate the launch timeline. I replied, on my way. I walked to the town's cafe, its string lights warm against the dusk, the home is a choice sign glowing softly. I joined Emma, Priya, and Sam at a corner table, their laughter a balm to the day's wait. To Nicole, who runs the show, Emma toasted, raising her latte. I clinked my tea mug, the Boston skyline a faint glimmer through the window. My family's masks had fallen, Claire's perfection, mom's excuses, dad's control, shattered by a truth I didn't have to speak. Liam's words, she's my boss, had done it for me. Back home, I sat at my desk, reviewing the launch plan. Priya had added a note, Liam seemed solid, but nervous. You rattled him. I smiled, picturing his stunned face at the party. My phone buzzed again, Claire, this was cruel, Nicole. Talk to me. I ignored it, her anger a fading echo. I thought of Sharon's call, her quiet pride. She'd always been the one relative who noticed me, sending Christmas cards when others forgot. Her words, they underestimated you, were a reminder. I'd built Pacific Genomics from a dorm room dream, secured $5 million in funding, and led a team that believed in me. My family had tried to erase me, but I'd rewritten the story. I stood by my window, the town quiet below. The cafe's lights blinked off, the square empty. I'd spent years paying for their approval, thinking it was love. Now, I saw it for what it was, a transaction, one-sided and draining. Liam's arrival at Pacific was a twist I hadn't planned, but it fit. Tomorrow, I'd lead our morning meeting, with Liam across the table, learning I was no footnote. My family's lie had unraveled, and I was free to live my truth, one silent step at a time. 6 months after Mom's birthday disaster, Pacific Genomics was a rising star in biotech. Our diagnostic tool had launched successfully, reducing pancreatic cancer screening costs by 40%, earning a Boston Globe feature. Nicole Warren redefines biotech innovation. I'd hired 5 new analysts, expanded our sequencing lab with a $2 million grant, and secured a $10 million contract with a Chicago health system. Emma Chen, now COO, streamlined our operations, while Priya Patel's analytics team won a National Industry Award for predictive modeling. Each morning, I walked to work, espresso in hand, pausing at the town's cafe, its home is a choice sign a quiet affirmation of the life I'd built. My team, Emma, Priya, Sam Ortiz, was my family now, their trust a foundation stronger than the one I'd lost in Worcester. My parents hadn't reached out since the party's chaos, their silence a confirmation of their choice. Claire sent one desperate text a month ago, "You let me fail, Nicole." Why? I didn't respond, her words a faint sting, not a wound. Liam, ever professional at Pacific, confided over a coffee break in our office lounge, "I ended things with Claire. She didn't respect you, and I couldn't stay with someone who dismissed family like that." I nodded, keeping it brief, "You made the right call." He'd seen what I'd known for decades, Claire's charm was a facade, not a bond. Her social media flaunted modeling gigs, glossy selfies and borrowed dresses, but her LinkedIn was dormant. Aunt Sharon whispered that Claire had lost another PR job, her career faltering under scrutiny. Mom and Dad, per Sharon, were embarrassed but mute, scraping by on savings in their Worcester home, the lights dim without my $15,720 in payments. Inspired by that $15,720, 2 years of silent sacrifices for a family that rejected me, I launched a fund called Horizon Haven to support women escaping toxic households. It was a nod to the resilience I'd found, and it had already helped dozens, like Maya, a 20-year-old who'd fled a controlling mother and now studied nursing at UMass Boston. At a local women's summit in Cambridge, Maya hugged me, her eyes bright, "You showed me I'm enough, Nicole." I mentored her and others, sharing lessons on financial independence and setting boundaries. My apartment's minimalist office held a framed email from Priya, "You're our boss, our friend, our anchor." My family's dismissal had freed me to build a legacy of worth, not obligation. Sharon visited my office one crisp October afternoon, her eyes scanning the glass walls and award plaques from biotech conferences. "Your mom thinks you'll regret cutting them off," she said, sipping tea I'd brewed. I shrugged, arranging a stack of contracts for a new diagnostics partnership. "They chose Claire's lie over me, Sharon. I'm done." She nodded, her silence supportive. My life was full, mentoring sessions with young entrepreneurs, brainstorming dinners with the team, quiet evenings with Coltrane jazz playlists filling my apartment. The pain of my family's rejection lingered, Mom's laugh at Christmas, Dad's rare gruff good job when I fixed their printer, but I'd turned it into purpose. I'd spent years as their invisible daughter, paying $6,000 yearly to keep their lights on, plus thousands for emergencies. Now, I was Nicole Warren, co-founder, leader, mentor, and that was more than enough. At a biotech conference in Boston's Seaport District, a young founder named Lena approached me after my panel on scalable diagnostics. "Your Horizon Haven fund saved my sister from an abusive home," she said, voice trembling. "How do you stay so strong?" I smiled, thinking of Claire's last text. "Silence isn't weakness, it's clarity. You choose who gets your energy." Lena jotted notes, her startup pitch tucked under her arm. I gave her my card, promising to review it. Back home, I walked to the cafe, its string lights warm against the autumn chill. Last month, I'd left a $200 tip with a note, "Start small, dream big." My family had tried to dim me, but I'd built a world where I shone. The hurt was a scar, not a chain. One evening, I sat on my balcony, reviewing a grant proposal for Horizon Haven. My phone buzzed, "Sharon again." "Claire's struggling, Nicole. No job, no boyfriend. Your parents are too proud to call, but they're hurting." I listened, the trailing a dark smudge. "They made their choices," I said. "I'm building mine." Sharon sighed. "You're tougher than I ever was." I smiled faintly, ending the call. My apartment was quiet, the jazz soft. I wasn't their daughter anymore, but I was whole, my life a testament to what happens when you choose yourself over a lie. 10 months after the birthday fiasco, I stood at a Boston biotech summit in the Seaport District, keynoting on resilience and innovation to a crowd of 500. Pacific Genomics had opened a Seattle lab, doubling our sequencing capacity, and Emma's operations were scaling globally, with a $15 million grant for AI diagnostics. Horizon Haven, my fund, had grown, supporting 50 women escaping toxic families. Maya, now 22, had launched a startup clinic in Roxbury, her nursing degree in hand. After my speech, she found me by the coffee bar. You're why I'm here, Nicole, she said, handing me a business card for her clinic. I hugged her, pride swelling. My life was no longer defined by Worcester's rejection but by the futures I was helping build. My family remained a distant echo. Mom and Dad hadn't called, their silence a stubborn wall. Sharon said they'd sold their old Ford to cover debts, too proud to reach out. Claire, however, appeared at the summit's networking reception, her navy dress understated, her face hesitant. Nicole, can we talk? She asked, clutching a water glass. I nodded, stepping to a quiet corner. I was wrong, she said, voice low. I let Mom and Dad pit us against each other. You're incredible, and I'm sorry. Her eyes, once sharp with superiority, were raw. I exhaled, calm but cautious. Thanks, Claire. I hope you mean it. She nodded, mentioning a new job hunt. PR was tough, but she was trying. I listened, my trust a thin thread, but I wished her well. Keep growing, I said, returning to my team. Liam, now a vice president at Pacific, caught me at work the next week. You showed me what integrity looks like, Nicole, he said, handing me a budget proposal. Claire never valued you, but I do. I smiled, focused on the $15 million grant we'd won. Just keep the numbers tight, I said, and he laughed, respecting the boundary. His breakup with Claire had been final. Her social media now showed yoga retreats and vague posts about healing. Sharon said Claire was in therapy, grappling with years of being the golden child. I felt no joy in her struggle, only a quiet hope she'd find her own path. Horizon Haven was gaining traction. At a Cambridge fundraiser, I presented a $100,000 check to expand our scholarships, earning a standing ovation. Lena, the founder from the last conference, emailed, her sister was now a graphic designer, thanks to our fund. My apartment's office held a new plaque, Horizon Haven, Empowering Futures. Next to it, Priya's framed email, You're our anchor, reminded me of my chosen family. My story appeared in Forbes, Nicole Warren, From Silence to Strength. Readers wrote, inspired by my boundaries, not my pain. The rejection, Dad's cold voice, Mom's excuses, Claire's spotlight, had faded, a memory overtaken by purpose. One evening, I walked to the cafe, its home is a choice sign glowing under November stars. The owner, Maria, waved me in. Heard about your fund, she said, sliding a latte over. My niece used it to leave a bad marriage. I thanked her, leaving a $50 tip. Back home, Sharon called, Your parents are struggling, Nicole. No car, bills piling up. I sipped tea, the tree leaned dark. They know my number, I said. She paused. You've built something bigger than them. I nodded, though she couldn't see. My life was full, team meetings, mentoring Maya, jazz playlists. I'd outgrown their shadow. At a team dinner, Emma toasted, to Nicole, who turned pain into power. Priya and Sam cheered, Liam raising his glass quietly. I smiled, my apartment's warmth a contrast to Worcester's cold. My family's betrayal had been a spark, my silence, the fire. I wasn't their daughter, but I was a leader, a mentor, a builder of futures, and that was my legacy. 2 years after the party, Pacific Genomics was a biotech powerhouse, valued at $50 million with 5 offices, including a new one in Austin. I keynoted at global conferences, from London to Singapore, on scaling with purpose. Emma, now global COO, proposed a London HQ, while Priya's analytics division secured a $20 million contract with a European health consortium. Horizon Haven had become a national force, supporting 500 women escaping toxic families, with chapters in 10 cities. At a Boston gala for the fund, Maya's Roxbury Clinic, now a chain, sponsored a table. You're my mentor, Nicole, she said, her staff applauding. My story, once about rejection, was now a blueprint for resilience, featured in Harvard Business Review, Nicole Warren's Resilience Blueprint. Claire visited my office one spring afternoon, her presence unexpected. She wore a simple sweater, her face softer, no longer the polished star. Nicole, I've been in therapy, she said, sitting across from my desk. I was jealous. You're the real success, and I'm sorry for everything. Her apology was raw, her eyes meeting mine without deflection. I exhaled, offering a small smile. Thanks, Claire. Keep working on you. I hugged her, but my boundaries held firm. She was jobless, rebuilding, and our trust was a work in progress. I'm trying, she said, mentioning a new admin job. I nodded, handing her a Horizon Haven flyer. You might find this helpful. Mom and Sharon attended the gala, a surprise. Mom, graying, approached me by the dessert table. We were wrong, Nicole, she said, tearful. We didn't see you. Dad, beside her, nodded, silent, his pride a heavy weight. I sipped my wine, steady. I'm glad you're here, I said, but offered no more. They'd sold their Worcester home, Sharon said, living in a small condo, their debt's a lesson in humility. I felt no urge to fix it. My family was my team, my mints, the women I'd empowered through Horizon Haven. Liam, now a Pacific board member, pulled me aside at the gala. Claire's learning from you, he said. She talks about your strength. I nodded, reviewing expansion plans in my head. Liam had become a trusted ally, his respect earned through work, not family drama. Priya's division was eyeing a $25 million AI diagnostics deal, and Emma's London pitch was weeks away. My office held a new sign, Silence is Strength, next to awards for Innovator of the Year. The cafe's owner, Maria, sent a note, your fund saved my cousin. You're a hero. I left a $100 tip, my ritual of giving back. At a mentorship event in Cambridge, Maya's clinic chain hosted a panel. Nicole taught me to choose myself, she said, earning applause. I smiled, mentoring dozens like her. Forbes updated my profile, Warren's Empire of Worth. Sharon called, your dad's softer now, misses you. I listened, sipping tea. He knows where I am. My family's betrayal, dad's rejection, mom's silence, Claire's spotlight, had been a spark. My silence was the fire, building a world where I wasn't their shadow but a beacon for others. One evening, on my balcony, I reviewed a new Horizon Haven grant. The tree lean glowed under a spring moon, jazz playing softly. Emma texted, London's a go. You're unstoppable. I smiled, my apartment a haven. I'd chosen myself, not revenge, and built a legacy, Pacific, Horizon Haven, Maya's clinics, that outshone their dismissal. I was Nicole, leader, mentor, free. 5 years after the birthday chaos, I stood on a Dubai Expo stage, addressing 2,000 attendees on building unbreakable ventures. Pacific Genomics had 10 offices, a $1 billion valuation, and Emma, now global CEO, was prepping an IPO. Priya's analytics led the industry, securing a $50 million global health contract. Horizon Haven had empowered 2,000 women, with international chapters. My story, once a tale of family rejection, was a global blueprint for resilience, featured in Harvard Business Review and Forbes, Nicole Warren's Legacy of Worth. During the Q&A, a founder asked, my partner says separating assets is mistrustful. How do you decide? I smiled. Mine said the same until he tried to erase me. Trust your instincts, protection is power. Claire emailed last month, now a stable event planner in Worcester. You're my hero, Nick, she wrote, her therapy yielding growth. I replied, proud of you, our bond cautious but healing. Mom visited my Boston office, Dad gone from cancer last year. I see you now, she said, tearful, clutching a photo of us as kids. I hugged her, at peace. We're okay, Mom. Sharon said Mom lived simply, volunteering, humbled by their past mistakes. I sent her a Horizon Haven donation in Dad's name, a quiet closure. Liam, a Pacific board chair, emailed, your silence taught me strength. He'd married, crediting my leadership. I reviewed a $100 million expansion, nodding. My office held a Silence is Strength sign, beside awards, Global Innovator, Philanthropist of the Year. At a Boston mentorship event, Maya's clinic chain, now national, toasted me. Nicole showed us how to rise, she said, her staff cheering. I smiled, mentoring hundreds, my fund a lifeline for women like Lena's sister, now a startup founder. The Cafés Maria sent a photo, your $500 tip funded my niece's college. I visited, leaving $200 more. Forbes updated my profile, Warren's Empire of Resilience. On my balcony, jazz playing, I reviewed a Horizon Haven global plan. The tree lean glowed under a summer moon, Boston's skyline faint. Claire's old spotlight, Mom's excuses, Dad's rejection were myths I'd outgrown. I'd chosen myself, not revenge, building an empire, Pacific, Horizon Haven, Maya's clinics, that shone beyond their shadows. At the expo, a young Emirati founder approached, your story saved me from a controlling family. I gave her my card, promising mentorship. Emma texted, IPO's greenlit. You're a legend. I laughed, my apartment a haven. My family's betrayal was a spark, my silence, the fire. I was Nicole Warren, co-founder, mentor, beacon, not their daughter, but a woman who'd written her own legacy, free and whole.